Thanks for joining us. Today we'll be looking at Cupid a Captive. It is an oil on canvas. It's a painting by Francois Boucher.
It was made in 1754. It's 5.5 feet by about 8 feet. So it's quite a large
Yes,
piece.
quite a large piece. I think that before we start talking about the piece itself, we should really talk about Boucher a bit. He was born in Paris in 1703.
His father was a lace designer, which definitely becomes evident in his paintings.
Yes, it is very, very apparent. Yes. So he is probably one of the most recognized Rococo painters of the 18th century.
At age 20, he was recognized for his artistic endeavors. He won the Prix de Rome, which is a pretty prestigious award.
Yes, it's a full grant art scholarship to the Académie de France, which was established by King Louis XIV.
So it's a big deal.
Yes, definitely. So he studied there, but then I believe he went to Rome.
Yes, he went to Rome from 1727 to 1731.
So he sort of got there by sort of selling his art. He was, I believe, he was a printmaker and an illustrator at first in his career. And then he eventually moved to Italy and studied there. He studied Baroque artists. Tiepolo and Albani were his most favorite Baroque artists to look at.
After finishing his studies in Rome, he returned to Paris, and he began to produce paintings based on mythological stories.
Yes, I believe then he started to get into commissioning work, and this got him to be part of the Royal Academy, which he then started making work for Louis XV's mistress, Madame de Pompadour. What's with that?
I don't know. It seems like something's going on with them.
Yes, they had a very close relationship.
Very close. He became the official painter to the king, Louis XV, officially in 1765.
As well as the director of the Royal Academy, yes. Okay, so now let's talk about the painting.
Okay, let's look at this painting. What do we see?
Let's look to our left. Okay.
Well, I mean, I see a huge mound of flesh. Fleshy babies, fleshy woman, peachy.
I see that as well.
Just cotton candy.
Yes, it's like cotton candy.
Flesh.
I see just this nudity and this like comfort and leisure.
We see this Cupid sprawled out.
So what are you drawn to? Just
I am
immediately?
Drawn to Cupid and his glittering gold blanket and these women in various states of undress. They're crowding around him. We have this woman at the head of the composition. She's completely nude, revealing this shimmering, gleaming white skin. The eye immediately goes to her. The eye then moving down goes to a woman who is
sort of dressed.
Yes,
somewhat dressed.
Somewhat fully clothed, in this red cape.
She's sort of approaching Cupid.
A little bit. She seems kind of timid, just maybe just a spectator in this piece, and then moving.
Oh, but the real spectator.
Moving the eye counterclockwise. We have this woman who seems to be fawning over Cupid, and then up above we have
let's talk
the pooties.
Okay, so we have two pooties, and they're sort of being very sneaky, and what we can see is they're sort of approaching Cupid, but I think that this might have something to do with the arrows that the woman on the upper left of the painting, she's sort
looking at the title of the piece, Cupid a Captive. We can infer that the women are kind of holding him captive.
Yes.
He can't leave. He's strapped in by those flowers. The woman above him,
these delicate flowers. It's so silly in a way. These like delicate pastel flowers are sort of holding him down,
constraining.
And in a way, he's not really fighting it, but he's clearly being held captive.
But he's being taunted.
Yes, and
he's being taunted by this woman. She's holding the arrows.
But then his little pooty friends are coming down, but they're not approaching in a malicious way. There's the dove.
They're backed by the dove, the symbol of peace.
Yes.
So they come in peace, but they just want their friend Cupid back.
When I get over what's happening in the center, I look at the statues to the right, and they're sort of like mocking the two pooties. They're unleashing this like silk, this cascade, and it's silky.
Of water that's just leading our eye to this mound of
and it adds to all the fluff and the delicacy, and I think now
let's talk about the landscape.
Yes. So it really shows his interest in pastoral landscapes. The greenery in this is somewhat reflective of Return from Cythera, which is the painting by Antoine Watteau, which but let's talk about how it's different.
I mean, it is a little bit different.
He definitely has a cooler palette than Watteau.
And the technique, the style of painting, Watteau's seems to he depicts motion by blurring.
Yes.
He blurs his leaves, while Boucher, he has these defined leaves, defined flowers.
He brings it out, and he finds a way to form this harmony between these milky white figures and this green, this deep
lush
green landscape. And it all comes together so well, and it has a lot to do with his ability to really form a composition with all his different decorative elements. Let's talk about the other influences. It's slightly Venetian. There's some rustic feel to it, but more so it's Baroque in ways.
Let's looking at the composition. You can see the diagonals, the movement, the places of the figures in the paintings. The figures are receding deep into the space. They're not just straight up standing there.
No.
They are almost look like they are in 3D. They're dynamic.
All in different layers of the painting.
This painting is undoubtedly a Baroque or a Rococo.
Yes,
painting,
there's definitely Baroque influences.
Definitely Baroque influences. We can see.
Okay, and to finish off, let's talk about the gradient. It's sort of, could we talk about that for a second?
Well, it's dark at the top, and it quickly lightens up into a shining, highlighted landscape, which is interesting. But then it goes back into the highlight again.
This woman,
it's
this
kind
woman
of
with
this
the red
harmonious gradient.
Yes, and that's what it is. It's Rococo. It's over the top. It's excessive. It's decorative, but overall, it's harmonious, and that is Boucher, and that is Rococo. So, speaking of Rococo, it is the art of the late 18th to mid-19th century. And is sort of looked down upon and laughed at this shallow period of art with no depth and just focused on exploiting the aristocracy.
Right, what happened was after Louis the 14th died in 1715, the French high society changed. The aristocrats, they became very powerful, prominent figures in society, almost as much as the monarchy itself.
And they wanted to display their luxury and power, and so they wanted to expand it, and art became a way for them to expand that. So they sort of became patrons of the arts, and, well, let's talk about the term Rococo. It's interesting, actually. Yes, so the word Rococo comes from the word roquel, which means pebble, but is it any pebble? It
is a pebble, and let's talk about that. Why don't you talk about that?
It is a small stone used to decorate grotto interiors, and which is a Rococo ornament, because actually, interestingly enough, Rococo began with interior decorating and hotels of Paris. That's how it became to be. But so, yes, Rococo is beautiful. It is scandalous.
It is extravagant. It is sensual. It is fluffy.
The aristocracy of France, basically, in a nutshell.
Silliness, easiness. Rococo.